Hello, everyone. This is Faheem Jackson, and it's episode 106 of my podcast show, In the Know. This podcast is aimed at trying to guide people through the world with a variety of topics. I am also using this platform to ask questions and try my best to answer these questions with my viewpoints of the world around me. The following episode introduction speech is for the topic of today. And that introduction speech is regarding why do some people reach out to God only during the bad times in their life? In our times of bad, we often search for answers by looking to the sky. We talk to God and ask Him questions, hoping that some type of response would transpire from this conversation. But why do we only reach out and ask for help when there is something wrong? Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of people thank God every day for the blessings He has chosen to bring into their lives. Yet there is still a great number of people who want to have a conversation when something is not going their way. And when the times are good, act as if God never existed. This is probably why we call ourselves God's children, because we are always asking for things which make us seem like kids. So let's observe why we only ask for God when things in life go bad. Let's first look at some good times. What are the good times? Let me give you an example. Wake up in the morning, and you get ready for work without the use of your alarm clock, to the point it actually goes off once you have awakened and started getting ready for work. You're in you're cooking breakfast in a good mood, so what do? You fix yourself something to eat. After consuming your meal, you go to work on a full breakfast stomach. Now the job, your boss tells you that you are not required to stay the full day. You get the work that was given to you finished early and have the rest of the day off. You check your bank and see that your paycheck was deposited early, which makes it easier for you to pay some bills on time. These are the times when some people would reach out and thank God for a good day. But as with the good times, you have to deal with the bad times in life as well. And what are some bad times? Bad times can only be categorized as what happens when life goes wrong in everything you do. It's like saying that when it rains, it pours, meaning one issue after the other seems to be coming at you at once. Your car breaks down, your paycheck doesn't come on time, and then you lose your job. Here's when we think to ourselves, who can we call on to allow us an open out of this life of pain? Now is where we try to inject God into our lives because there is nothing more to ask of. But is He truly listening to the person when they reach out, which I would discuss later in this episode? But a bad time in life can truly spoil your day and even your life. This is when all types of bad thoughts go through your mind, which is why one must keep their composure. Then again, there are those times where you're in between both feelings of good and bad. What is that feeling? That's the indifferent feeling. Some people have a feeling that is in the middle of good and the bad. These are the people who tend to find themselves in this limbo position, simply because they are stuck in the bad times and don't properly thank Him in the good times. Or they thank God in the good times and call on Him in the bad times. But why are we like this, in this stuck position? It's actually not that bad because all it means is there is balance in your life. When you do decide to reach out to God, there is a way to reach out to Him when you're going through some good and bad times. So with that said, how do you reach out to God for a good conversation when you're going through some good times? What do you do when we reach out in good times? Reaching out to God is a daunting task, simply because how do you properly reach out and talk to God? Some people talk to God at church and others talk to God directly at home. Church is probably the best place because here you're reaching out to God with other people who have the same goal as you. Everyone in the church house is reaching out to God for salvation. Some of them are going through the worst of times, but also thanking God for all the good things He has contributed to their lives. But what if you don't want to stay at home in order to reach out to God? Well, guess what? God is everywhere. You don't need an actual place in order to talk to Him. But this episode is not about where to worship God, yet the section is about reaching out to God in your goodness. Church is where you reach out. But in good times, we reach out because we feel that His intervention deserves the grace. We could never have gotten this far if not for Him. We would have given up a long time ago if not for Him. It's just that the church house is a place most go to express these sentiments. Then again, what about the bad? What happens as we reach out in the bad times? What happens when we reach out in the bad times? Whenever people reach out to God during a bad time in their lives, they tend to sound like children who are always having their hands out. Yet, even with their hands out, we still feel it is okay for our hands to be out because we have been told God forgives and looks out for his followers. This gives us the reason to start asking God for help. Only problem is that some of these people are not thanking God during the good times. So should God not reply to these people when they reach out? Especially since he serves no purpose in their lives during those good times. But if God is a loving God and forgives, then why not answer the prayer? Then again, God has to be in your life on the front end, not always on the back end when you find yourself in a bad situation. Well, what is God's place in our lives? What is the role that God plays in our lives? Let's look at something for just a moment. What is God supposed to be doing in our lives when it comes to him serving us, since our job is to serve him so much? God listens, but it must be a difficult task for him because so many people are praying on a daily basis, especially during these times that we are in right now. Everyone in the world is asking God for some sort of guidance, but since we believe to be what we know him to be, then he is listening to every word that people are saying. His job is to delegate what is necessary and what is not. What is meant by this? Well, just because someone asks for something doesn't mean they need nor deserve it. Sometimes God not answering your call is in protecting you from something you don't see. Now, do I believe that myself? Well, no. But to a lot of people, God is talking to them and they fully understand the mission in their lives. What if you're not able to fully comprehend because everyone cannot understand God's words? Then you have to look for signs in your life along the way to guide you. People who don't believe in God will tell you these are coincidences. However, you see it. God is presenting himself in your life. So respect the exposure from above. I may be a doubter, but that does not mean others have to follow me. This episode and other episodes regarding religion are aimed at trying to figure out God's overall role for the people who believe. And that gives me some insight as to what beliefs could mean. Now, I would say stop begging. Now, I know this episode is about reaching out to God and asking for guidance during rough times, but I have something to say. Please stop begging. And I know that sounds crazy to say, but sometimes when people reach out, they sound like broken records. You can't keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. And the problem is, they're individuals that don't want to change. They just want God to keep aiding them in their problems in life. These are the people that I say should stop begging. Another reason why I say stop begging here is because if you know you want to stay the same, stop asking. And God gives us free will. You are more than in control of your ability to stop the pattern you are doing. Let me just say, I hate to sound redundant, but stop begging and give him grace all the time. Keep him in your life all the time and not some of the time. Now, I said grace. Giving him grace all the time. That's right. You shouldn't just include God when you need him. Thank him as well. And here's something I said earlier in this episode. When you're doing good, take the time out to give thanks for everything you've been given. This constant need to ask when you're in a tight spot starts to become problematic. It's like a parent whose child only needs them when something is wrong. You have to include your parents in good times. Thank your parents when you do good as a sign of appreciation. The same applies to God when you are reaching out to him. Show a sign of appreciation by giving him grace. Now, let me ask this question. Do you really need him? And that is God in your life. See, now I have to ask a question that may ruffle some feathers, especially with those of you who are believers. Do we truly need God for anything? I know when you're going through hard times, it makes sense to look up and ask for guidance, but why? We live in a society where there are millions of people around us at all times. Why are we still looking into the sky for help? When you're going through something in life, we now have therapists to talk to who can help us through our problems. So with that said, you could say we are slowly but surely weaning God from our society. But I don't see God fully being pushed out because there is something that is still unreliable about people. Now, as for the realistic views of talking to God, there's a literal view versus a fundamentalist view. And like I said, with talking to God going away, literal views are as well. literal that trumps the fundamental. When you think of someone actually reaching out and talking to God about their problems, it does not make sense to hear something like this. So what we do for the people who are not fundamentalists is try to understand the Bible from a more figurative perspective, because you will never get those non-believers to observe the existence of God from a fundamentalist perspective. So what about non-believers? Try to do this. Look at believers as people who are trying to pull inspiration from somewhere with the hopes that strength will be gained to move forward. Yet there is something quite intriguing about God, because people will pray and find ways to pull strength from their beliefs to move on in life. So you have to admit that even with the literal interpretations being too far-fetched, people are getting something that allows them to persevere. And with this end statement, why we have to know why people only reach out to God when doing bad in life. Reaching out to God is an interesting concept, because we are really not speaking to an actual person. And if you do, people will start to question your mental state. Isn't that something? You tell people you talk to God, then they question your mental capacity. But if you're an atheist, they question that as well. I myself have said this and will continue to. I was not much and have not been much of a religious person in life. I need someone to converse with about problems. So in the bad, I have my therapist to talk to. But God is someone to talk to for the believers. Thank you for listening to In the Know. I'll be bringing you another episode regarding religion. The topic will be asking the question, why does God give us so much intellect that in turn we use to discredit his existence?